If you had asked Ohio woman Lorrie Agan to picture such a scene in the wake of her bitter, contentious divorce in 2014, she would have told you it was unimaginable. But here she was, just 4 years along the line, walking down the aisle once more. Not only that, but the last person in the world she could have ever expected to see there was in attendance, her former husband, Jeffrey. Somehow it had turned out that Lorrie's first groom was utterly delighted to be at her second wedding. However, in the immediate years before the massive joy of that big day in April 2018, Lorrie's life had looked very different. She was a 50-something divorcee living in her hometown of Bowling Green, Ohio, in the shadow of a 25-year marriage which had ended unhappily. It had been 1989 when Lorrie said "I do" to Jeffrey at a local electronics outlet. Yep, you heard that right. The young couple were unable to afford a conventional wedding venue, so they got married in a made-up shop instead. As they got into the swing of things, the evidently resourceful new Agan family of 2 would eventually grow to become a family of 10. Indeed, Lorrie and Jeffrey managed to welcome no fewer than 8 children over the course of their marriage, 6 boys and 2 girls. Each new addition surely brought the Agans great happiness, but nevertheless, with everything taken into account, Mom and Dad's union was not a blissful one. Unfortunately, the couple mostly spent their married years arguing and bickering. And by the end of their marriage, Lorrie later claimed to CBS Evening News she and Jeff were no longer a good fit for each other. She admitted to TV cameras in May of 2018, "The fighting, what the kids were witnessing, I just didn't want it in our lives anymore." Consequently, Lorrie and Jeffrey's relationship broke down and they finally divorced in 2014, calling it quits on a quarter-century of married life. Everyone in the Agan clan was devastated, according to 21-year-old son Jeffrey Jr. In May of 2018, he told the news website BuzzFeed, "They fought, separated, divorced, and it tore the family apart." Jeffrey Jr. continued, "Each of us, children, felt like we had to cope with the destruction in different ways, on our own." Those self-help sentiments also struck the parents. Reportedly, in the aftermath of their divorce, both Lorrie and Jeffrey separately looked inwards for ways in which they could improve themselves. For Lorrie, the immediate concern following the divorce settlement was to find the time to improve her mental well-being. Once she dispatched any evidence of married life to the bottom of a bedroom closet, Lorrie sought treatment for long-term depression. She also took steps to bolster her self-confidence, including meditation and getting out and about into nature. Now living on the other side of Bowling Green at the same time, Jeffrey also discovered ways to make himself feel better. Somewhere near the top of the list was seeking treatment to overcome his alcoholism. He also took up intensive exercise to improve his body and learned to express his feelings through poetry to improve his mind. Jeffrey even took the opportunity to switch careers, giving up trucking in order to go back to school and finish a nursing course. It seems that post-split, as well as sharing 8 dependents, Lorrie and Jeffrey had something in common. They both had the same motivation: to make an improvement to their sense of self. However, they also both claimed that they had no ulterior motives. Their physical and mental efforts were purely for themselves. Nevertheless, as the months and years went by with each working on their personalities, they both found it easier to get along and co-parent the kids. For example, at one sorry stage in the proceedings, the former Mr. and Mrs. Agan had found it impossible to be in the same room together. But after some time spent working upon themselves, Lorrie and Jeffrey each began to feel the benefits and things subtly changed. The divorcees discovered that they could bear to spend time together as part of a family during holiday seasons. The pair were also able to celebrate their children's birthdays with each other without incident. And that mutual understanding opened an unexpected door for the Agans. About 3 years after their divorce, Lorrie and Jeffrey started to speak to one another properly again. And after a few months spent building bridges as friends with improved communication, the pair took an even more surprising step. Unbelievably, towards the end of 2017, the divorced couple began dating again. Needless to say, their 8 children were both shocked and skeptical. It appeared that none of the kids wanted to get their hopes up about a bona fide reconnection between Lorrie and Jeffrey. Initially, I was terrified, Jeffrey Jr. admitted to TV magazine show Today in December of 2017. But his first fears proved unfounded. Jeffrey Jr.'s parents were serious about one another, more than they had been in many, many years. And on December 23rd, Mr. Agan gave the former Mrs. Agan a gift to prove it, and Jeffrey Jr. was on hand to film it. The young man uploaded the resulting clip to Twitter the following day so that the watching world could enjoy the moment online. The video shows Lorrie holding a large box in her hands as we hear her jokingly ask, "Is it pizza?" We watch as Lorrie unwraps the present under the Christmas tree, and instead of takeaway Italian food, we see that her gift is a picture. It turns out that Jeffrey has penned a poem in her honor and had it mounted and framed. We hear Lorrie announce the title of the piece, "Love Burns Anew," and she begins to read aloud. "Our love was there, it never left. The both of us felt lost." The video now shows that the author of the poem has adopted a kneeling position in front of his ex-wife. She continues, "Fate intervened for me and you, and love caught fire and burns anew. So now I ask you, Lorrie, once again." At this point, her voice trails away as she regards Jeffrey with her mouth hanging open. She knows what he's about to do. Indeed, at this point in the film, we watch Jeffrey present Lorrie with an engagement ring. Happily, the recipient cannot contain her excitement. "Yes, yes, 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 I love you so much," she exclaims as the pair embrace. It looked very much like they were going to be Mr. and Mrs. Again. An overwhelmed Lorrie later told CBS Evening News, "There are no words to express what I felt at that moment." And of course, it had been captured forever by their son, Jeffrey Jr. And after he shared the moment on Twitter, users have viewed his parents' proposal as astonishing 11 million times. The cameraman spoke to Cosmopolitan about his viral videos later that month. "It blows me away how well it resonated with some people," Jeffrey Jr. declared. "There's a lot of hurt in our country today. A message of love and reconciliation was really needed." And anxious not to hang around, his parents considered their second wedding in April 2018 to be just that, a reconciliation. The 52-year-old bride and 53-year-old groom both referred to the big event as a healing ceremony. And Lorrie, for one, acknowledged how lucky they both were to be walking down the aisle again. "We get a do-over," she exclaimed excitedly to CBS Evening News. "Who gets do-overs in this world?" And needless to say, the Agan's children were just as pleased with their parents' love renewal and springtime nuptials. And another son, Sean, got emotional when he said as much to CBS cameras. Filmed on a couch with a handful of his siblings by his side, the teenager chokes up as he says, "I was just so happy for my parents. It's just they've both come so far. I'm just so proud of them." Indeed, although Ma and Pa Agan's story is one of love rekindled, it's also a tale of self-improvement and personal discovery. And Jeffrey had a parting piece of sage advice for the CBS Evening News audience. He signed off, "Don't be too proud to get help, because some jobs are too big to do by yourself."